The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
All right. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to this week's edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast. I'm here, as always, with my brother Alpha. What's up, brother?
You know it. Right here. Back again, once again, right?
Yep. Sorry, man. So as I was saying, I've been purchasing some games on the PS4 recently. I was telling him how I came across, just for you PS4 owners out there, in the PlayStation Store right now, they have a deal where you can get Return to Arkham. It's called the Return to Arkham bundle package. For $10, you get Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, the Batman games, and you get all the DLC that they put out for them. So you get all the maps, all the extra characters, all of that. Along with that, I bought Tekken 7 because it was only $10. Why not? So I get to playing it, and Saint wants to challenge me. I'm okay at Tekken. I will admit, Tekken is not necessarily, and it's not a disclaimer, Tekken is not exactly one of my strongest fighting games. I put it up there with Street Fighter. I love playing Street Fighter, but I persistently get my ass whipped at that game. And there's a reason why I don't really play it super often, and it's mainly because I consistently get my ass whipped at the game. Now, Dead or Alive, it's one of my favorite games. Why? Because, I don't think I've lost a game in 5 years of Dead or Alive. Soul Calibur, kind of same thing. I've only lost one or two matches in the past decade on Soul Calibur. Sure, I'll jump on some Soul Calibur. Killer Instinct, I'll hop on there with you, but
hell yeah.
But Tekken, man, it ain't my gig. So, but anyway. Now get to this. Me and Saint play last night. First game that we play, of course, I choose Eddie Gordo because he's one of my strongest characters on the game. So, or Eddie, and so Saint beats me the first two matches, and then proceeds to lose 3 straight to me. All right.
Ooh.
It was all good. He took his beating in stride because the next matchup he came back and pretty much beat my ass. I can't really lie. He beat my ass pretty good. But I lost once again 3 matches to 2. I was at least getting a match or 2 off of him. I think only one of them I only got 1 match. But he won 3 straight and gives me a phone call talking about, "Hey man, how'd you like that ass whooping?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, bro. Don't act like you just handed me my ass all 4 times. They were pretty close matchups." But needless to say, he did get the win 3-1 overall on me. It's payback because there's been a couple of matchups with him where I won. We played 5 matchups and I won 4-1 multiple times. I told you the story about the CDs and Saint losing the CDs to me on Dead or Alive. So yeah. But anyway, that was that. So what are we going to kick this off with? Let's see. You know what? Let's talk about this. Since we talked about Avatar: The Last Airbender last episode pretty heavily, let's talk about this. So I was thinking, literally, now mind you, okay, bro. So we finished watching Avatar. So I'm in this Avatar group, and they're always battling back and forth about Legend of Korra and whether or not it was good and whether or not some of the stuff in it should be canon and so on and so forth. I've never seen Legend of Korra. By the time Legend of Korra came out, I was kind of out of the whole Avatar thing. I have nostalgia for the original series, but I never watched Korra. So I was like, you know what? I want to give this show a try because I've heard a lot of good things, more good than bad. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything. I'm in the middle of it. One second.
Everything all right?
Yeah, everything's fine. Hold on. My lovely girl here wants me to collect the treasure from this thing. There's a stash. Hold
what?
On. I don't know. Well, she's playing Diablo.
Are you
I don't
understand
this game. No, she's playing Diablo. I don't understand this game. I'm trying to help her.
Oh, Diablo 3?
Yeah. She's playing for the PlayStation
okay.
right now. And she's got her inventory. And I can't believe we're working this out on air. What's that? Okay, here. She's going to figure it out on her own because I'm dumb. Anyway, it's okay. But anyway, so what were we talking about? So anyway, Legend of Korra. So I never got a chance to watch the actual series. But I've been interested in it. Like I said, I've been drawn interested into it. So I actually went out looking for the actual DVD set because I don't know if you know this, but they have a DVD set for sale on Amazon for $69.99. It's a 9 DVD Blu-ray set of Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, all in one box. All 3 seasons of Legends of Korra.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I was just about to buy that. I had just broken down. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go ahead and buy it because it's worth having and so on and so forth. And the very next day I go on to Facebook and I see a post. Legend of Korra coming to Netflix in August. What? Well, golly me. Looks like I know I'm not spending the money now. I'll just wait till it comes out. Yeah, I'll probably buy it later on down the road, but I don't need to buy it now. So I would ask, have you seen Legend of Korra? Have you personally watched Legend?
Some of it. I've seen some of it like sparsely. I've seen, I'd say, like half of it in its entirety, but I haven't seen it completely through. And from what I've seen, it's not horrible, nor is it anywhere near as good as The Last Airbender, but it's okay. I'm not one of the dudes that's going to sit here and say, like, we need to unfucking canonize it.
Yeah.
And I'm not the dude that's going to say it's better either. It's okay at best. Of course, it doesn't compare to its predecessor, though.
Yeah. And also, here's the thing about it. Having never seen it, the only thing I can say about it is one thing that I've heard. And that was that I guess at some point during the story, Korra loses touch with all the other avatars. Like, cause you know that like she's an avatar. She's the next avatar in line after Aang. I guess at some point she does something. Like, I guess she gets hurt or she gets killed while she's in the avatar state, and she loses and she severs her connection to all the other avatars. So it's like, yeah, how's that supposed to work?
Yeah,
like,
I believe I heard that like she does it willingly. Actually, I'm not
really?
sure. Don't quote me on that.
Wow,
and I think that's where a lot of the criticism came from, that she willingly gave it up, and you know, like that's not even slightly what's supposed to happen. You know, the whole ordeal.
Well, you figure like, why she got to be the one? You know, there's always one in a group in a long line of somethings that always fucks it up. You know, if it's that idiot son down at the
right.
end of the line of wealth that spends it all on stupid shit. You know, but there's always one idiot that fucks it all up for everybody else. Was she that idiot? Is Korra that idiot? Is Korra that idiot that fucks it up for everybody else?
From what I've heard, like most of the hate directed at the show isn't even at Korra as a character. It's more of a lot of people feel like they bastardized Toph and Zuko and Aang.
Really?
And I didn't quite see that. I thought all three of their grown-up versions, respectively, were pretty fucking badass, especially Toph and Zuko too.
I just think people were mad because we didn't get a season with a grown-up version of them. Like, I would have loved to see the season that showed, even if it was like a fast-forward season, where it just basically showed us, you know, over like 13 episodes, showed us, you know, what the path was after the Fire Nation was taken down. You know, what happened to the thing. You know, and some people were talking about they could even introduce new nations. You know, with certain people with certain things based off of like the African nations. I guess some kid came up with this entire character in Avatar that was based solely off of like African mythology. Ooh. And I'm like, I would love to see that. You know, but yeah. So many different.
Yeah, man. There's definitely a lot of room to make some stuff. We talked about it before too. Like the best case scenario, if they were to make anything new in that universe, it would be somewhere between Legend of Korra and the OG Avatar series. Right.
Show us that time frame in between those two for sure.
Exactly.
Now, here's one thing I want to do real quick. Let's give a shout out to the actors that have become the Avengers over the past decade of our lives. As I believe Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Tom Holland have all sent this 6-year-old little boy messages, and I believe Captain America sent him an actual Captain America uniform and an actual real shield, like the real metal shield, like one of the duplicates from what they used in the movie.
Badass.
Because this little boy ended up getting 90 stitches. Because basically he jumped in front of this dog that was about to attack his little sister. I wish I had the little boy's name. Hold on. I just know it was a 6-year-old little boy, but sorry guys for not being more informed. But if you've heard this, if you've been on Facebook or anywhere else, you've heard this story and you know what I'm talking about. But it's really nice to see people using their celebrity to make someone's day brighter. Make that little boy's day brighter. Make him not feel so bad. Here was the thing that broke my heart. Okay, and here's the thing that broke and warmed my heart at the same time. It only broke my heart because it's just like, no kid should have to think like that. No kid should ever be in a position to have to think like that. And I don't blame anybody, because who the fuck can predict a dog attack, But the fact that when asked why he jumped in front of his little sister and basically took the bite for her, because he said his response was, because if one of us had to die, I'd rather it be me.
Jesus. Chad.
6.
Chad.
And like I said, I'm not in any way trying to knock the parents or their parenting. It's just the fact that it just breaks my heart that a little boy would ever have to even be in a fucking position where he would have to even think something like that. It's got to be me or my little sister. That's just
you're right.
Heartbreaking.
No kid should ever have to have that thought process at any point. It's insane to think about it. And of course, that dog didn't touch his ass though. Fucking immortal. Chad ass.
I'll say. Now, see, most little boys are actually thinking about kicking over their little sister because their little sister's annoying. But he jumped in front of a dog for his. But I'm pretty sure all the rest of them, even the ones that kick over their little sister, would still jump in front of a dog for her, because they do love her despite how annoying she is. Same thing go for little brothers. But yeah. So here's something that might.
It's always cool that the Avengers team. Avengers team makes a consistent thing to do this. I don't mean to downplay this situation, but it's really cool that like you said, the Avengers team has done such a good job of using their platform to do really good shit that it's normal for them to reach out and do things like this.
They're inspiring people. They're inspiring people to want to do things. And this is something that a lot of people don't seem to understand. This is what makes me angry when I hear people say, it's just a comic book movie. I don't understand why you guys are so excited about it. It's not what it is. It's what it represents. It's kind of like what I tried to explain to people about the Black Panther movie. It wasn't about the movie itself. It wasn't about that it was based on a comic book about a black character. It was what it represented. It was not just not just a movie about a black comic book character. Well, shit. We have been seeing movies with black comic book characters for almost 5 years before, or 5-6 years before Black Panther ever hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rhodey in the Iron Man movies, fucking who else?
Falcon,
Heimdall. We've been seeing black characters, black superheroes on screen. It was what this movie
represented. Blade.
Yeah, Blade. It was what this movie represented in Hollywood. Not only was it a movie about a black superhero, it was a movie about a black superhero with an all-black cast, with an exception for like two white dudes that were in the Andy Sudeikis and goddamn, I can't remember the dude who played friggin' the CIA
Uncle
officer.
Bilbo.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Like outside of the two white guys, it was pretty much an all black cast. It was a black grip. It was a black director. It was a black producer. You know what I'm saying? The only white people involved in the movie. Not that there's anything bad about white people being involved in movies. I'm not trying to say that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But for this particular movie, it set precedent. The only white people that were involved in the movie were the people funding it. Like real talk. Outside of the two actors in it, everybody else was black.
I don't know. But
And
You're right.
so people have. Sorry, I was gonna say like people have to understand what that
no,
represents.
that's
As it's very rarely ever done, yet alone done at that high quality of a level of movie in Hollywood. Not many all black cast, all black grip, all black producer and director movies get greenlit in Hollywood. And so that's why Black Panther meant the world to a lot of people. You know, it's just beyond what it represented as far as being a comic book movie. It was what it represented in the sense of Hollywood. So, but go on. Sorry, Alpha. I didn't mean to go off on my rant there.
Oh, no. You weren't cutting me off or anything. My audio just kept fucking up and getting in and out real quick. But I got it fixed, so we're good now. But no, yeah, you're right completely. It's not that it was against white people. It was that it was for black people, and that there's nothing wrong with that. And of course that there's been black superhero movies with even them as the starring role, right? Of course, talk about Blade, and there's 1.5 million of other examples. You could even include fucking Spawn if you wanted, right? But it's the fact that this was the first AAA title. This was the first as big as any other Marvel movie sort of thing that was taken in this sort of direction and idea, right? And the idea that there was only two white people in the cast, again, a lot of people took that as it was against white people. For me, it felt more like I've seen 1.5 million movies where that cast was mostly white with only 2 or 3 black people. And being from that perspective puts a different turn on it for me, at least. I didn't take offense to it. It's a new insight, you know? Yo.
Oh, sorry. My favorite phrase that came out of the Black Panther being released was that representation matters for all cultures, not just for black people. You know, I want to see more Asian movies made by Asian people with Asian directors, you know, that are authentic. I want to see more German movies made by German people with German directors. You know, like I want to hear the story from the people who are more likely to have heard the story from their family members than in a history book. Now, not to say you can't tell the story as well if you've only read it in a history book. Because, you know, you do your research, you can tell the story just as well as anybody else. But there's just something a little bit more authentic about it when it's coming from people who have lived it. You know, like people don't understand the reason why Selma, once again, Selma was another movie that was huge in impact because of who it was made by and the fact that movies like that don't normally get greenlit. You know, not just because of the story that it told. So, but anyway, all right, so let's move on from that. The Russo brothers have confirmed that they most likely, I think they said something like 90+% sure that they will be doing a Secret Wars movie. For those of you who don't know, Marvel's Secret Wars was a very popular comic book series. It came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, I believe, or early to mid 2000s.
It actually came out. Secret Wars is less of a one-time thing and more of a reoccurring event in the Marvel world. Much like every time before an event happens in like DC, there's a version of like an apocalypse war or like a crisis on Infinite Earth sort of deal.
Yeah.
Every time Marvel wants to press that big old red reset button, they usually do it through a Secret Wars storyline, and that's why I fucking adore Secret Wars, because there's so many different versions and so many ways they can work with this, and of course the best way that they can go about this is with God Hand Doom, Doctor Doom, and that shit.
Yeah. I believe that he will be introduced during that time frame. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they do with it. I'll let that lead us into the next subject, which is my review of the Marvel Unlimited app. I discovered it randomly while looking at something on my phone and read what it was about, and I was like, seems kind of interesting. So basically what I'm going to do, and I'm making the announcement now on the show, is what my goal is I'm going to go ahead and spend the $100 right now and get their mega membership, whatever that is, the one that goes for $99 for a year. If over the next year I can read at least 300 to 500 comic books, okay, all of which I'll be reviewing here on the show, I'm going to go ahead and renew the membership for the $99.99. If I don't read at least 300 to 500 comic books, it's not worth my money. It's not worth $100. But if I can, then it's worth it. There's about 30,000 comic books on the thing. They literally have every Marvel comic book you could possibly think of. The comic book series I decided to start with was The Good Old Age of Apocalypse. For those, I actually own most of the Age of Apocalypse comic books. I just don't own the last one. I don't own Omega, but I own all the issues that the Age of Apocalypse storyline stretched through. It was written and published in 1995. It opened with X-Men Alpha, X-Men Alpha, where basically it introduced you to this world where Apocalypse had won the battle with the X-Men and was currently in rule. Over the known world. And basically, Apocalypse was about, as I get through the first issue, Apocalypse was about to unleash his, unleash his four horsemen upon the world. There to combat him are, get this, Eric Lesher's, otherwise known as Magneto's, X-Men, which include Sabretooth, Wildchild, Beast, Rogue, Jean Grey, Weapon X. He's not Wolverine, he's Weapon X. Cyclops, an older Cyclops, Havoc. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. And Rogue had just joined them. Or in the next comic book,
Kitty Pryde is there too, isn't she?
Yeah, I believe Kitty Pryde is there as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Scarlet Witch is there. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are there too.
Mm-hmm. All right, because it was good.
Right. So it's Magneto's X-Men, and they're about to face off with Apocalypse as the Alpha story book ends. So then the first comic book that came out after that was the X-Men Chronicles, but it's Magneto's X-Men, like I said. And so, and it takes you back to when Rogue was first introduced into the thing. Now, mind you, in Alpha, you were introduced to a couple of interesting storylines. First of all, like I said, Scott Summers and Havoc are working together. Okay? But they're working for Mr. Sinister. They're working under Apocalypse. Okay? Jean Grey is now with Weapon X. Like her and Logan are together. Alright? And then the big one was Magneto and Rogue ended up together and had a child.
How the fuck?
Because Magneto is the only person that Rogue can touch without absorbing his powers, because he can control the magnetic fields around himself to allow her to touch him.
Fucking OPS Magneto. Fuck.
Yes. So Magneto,
God, bitch.
And they've now had a son who eventually goes on to become X-Man.
Right.
That's a later comic book. I'll talk about that one when I get to that one. But yeah, so that's how that particular Alpha episode ended. Like I said, I was reading the first one, and it's about how I was just getting to the part where Rogue was just coming to the X Mansion. But in this particular storyline, Xavier died in the battle against Apocalypse, and Magneto took over the helm of the X-Men as Xavier's last dying wish.
Okay.
So it's a pretty interesting storyline. It's going to get better.
What's one?
But yeah, so back to Marvel Unlimited. Tons of different comics. You can read all your favorite comic series. The greatest thing about it that I didn't discover for a little bit, because I downloaded it on my 10-inch tablet just so I could be able to read the panels better, because on my phone it's kind of small. And while I was reading it on the tablet, I discovered that if you double tap the panels, you can read it panel by panel. Like you can bring bring the panel full size, like to the full size of your screen, and then you just swipe left and it takes you to the next panel. And so it makes it so much easier to read. Like I said, I got through about a comic book and a half in about 45 minutes last night. What were you saying?
That's totally convenient. I like that.
Hell yeah. So, for those of you who think it's
Might pick
worth
that back
it,
up then.
for those of you who think it's worth it but can't afford $99 in one whole swoop, it's $9.99 a month if you decide to do a monthly plan, or $69.99 for a year if you decide to do the normal plan without all the extra boost stuff. So,
good shit. Might pick that back up then.
Yeah, it's worth it. And I told my boy, I was telling my boy Saint that I'll probably sign up for DC Universe as soon as it goes strictly comic book, the same way that the Marvel is. So that way I can reread Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Not a bad idea. I have my physical collection, but I don't read digitally. But that's definitely a good idea, especially now, huh?
Yep. All right, and two side notes for anybody that's interested. A gentleman by the name of Noah Centineo from a movie called The Perfect Date has been cast as Atom Smasher in DC's Black Adam movie. For those of you who don't know, The Rock is supposed to be playing Black Adam. No pun intended.
And I'm really hyped for that movie, though. I don't know about you, but I'm a pretty big Black Adam fan, and I think The Rock's going to do that role a lot of justice. And I don't know about you, but I'm really hyped to see The Rock as like a bona fide villain this time.
Oh yeah, but you've seen him as a bona fide villain if you've ever watched The Rock.
And we get to see it again for the first time in how many years now?
Exactly. All right, so
great.
So also a little side note. Keanu Reeves, for those of you Keanu Reeves fans out there, has a comic book coming out in October called Berserker. So I would keep on the eye out for that, because I don't think it's coming out on any of the major labels, so it's not going to be on. It's not new. Oh well, I guess a new issue is coming out in October then. According to my roommate over here, it's not a new. Yeah, it's been around for a while, so I'll have to go check it out.
Is it? I thought it was beginning in a few years.
I thought it was too.
Well, either way, we get Keanu Reeves in his own comic book series, and then we have him in Cyberpunk 2077 within a few years now, and I'm with both of those ideas all the fucking way, because he's an amazing fucking actor, and anything he touches is usually pretty damn good.
Gold, baby. Gold. All right. You said you had some stuff you wanted to tell us about the Dark Souls series.
Right. Yes, on the last episode, if you remember, I had said that I finished my pilgrimage through the series, and I was ready to bring forth what I have. I have played through Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 completely front and back, every single secret, every boss, everything there is to do. And then I have Bloodborne now as well, which is the spiritual successor to it. And I'm in the latter half of it now, so I'm not going to bring my review for that just yet. And plus, I'm going to do that in its own standalone light later on. But as of right now, I do have a comprehensive review of the whole series. Personally, I had played it Dark Souls 3, and then I played the remaster of 1, and then I played number 2 last.
Okay.
I did that on purpose because I had heard that Dark Souls 3 is actually geared for beginners, and so that's what I went with. I played, and I'm still playing Dark Souls 3 religiously, but I'm going to get that to the end, and I'm going to go in chronological order from here. Starting with 1, I can say confidently that Dark Souls 1, the remaster especially, the quintessential version, I would say, is my favorite Dark Souls game. It feels like a classic adventure mixed with the morbid violence and darker tones that Dark Souls is known for. As a whole, it's really cool. The map being connected in the way that it is in an open world setting, especially for that early of a game, is really fucking crazy. It's as hard as everyone says it is, but it's pretty damn rewarding. The combat in 1 is definitely a little slower, especially when compared to 3, but it's nowhere near as slow as 2, and I'll elaborate a little more on that later. Okay. But as a whole, I can say Dark Souls 1, the remaster, graphically, mechanically, substance-wise, is one of my favorite games now. And all of the bosses are pretty damn good in their own right, especially when you get to the DLC.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil too much, but as a whole, it is one of my favorite games, and I recommend it to anyone, the remaster especially. Moving on to Dark Souls 2, I'm gonna flip this completely. Dark Souls 2 is a goddamn waste of your time. It is. I had to look into it a little bit, but after Dark Souls 1, they had the same team, and the director, Hidetaka Miyazaki, he had worked on Demon Souls, the absolute original, and then he had led the charge for Dark Souls 1 as well.
Okay.
And probably not the smartest move. For Dark Souls 2, they decided to take the entire production team and scrap everyone and have a whole new lead director and a whole new production team for Dark Souls 2, despite the fact that they had a new engine and the same assets and the inspirations from Dark Souls 1. And so the combat is tweaked in all of the wrong ways. All of the animations are actually mocapped, not hand animated. And you would think that would be really cool, right? But it actually just feels like you're fighting while trapped in fucking Jello. It feels like everything moves in slow motion. And it's not slick, it's not clean, the hitboxes are all wrong. The game... the Scholar of the First Sin edition is the quintessential version of Dark Souls 2, but even then, with the fixes in that, it's still hard in all of the wrong ways. It doesn't come off as hard in the way that you can learn it and gain from it and get better. It's just an overwhelming amount of force, and it's hard in all the wrong ways. It's like making enemies stronger versus making enemies just have more health and do bullshit amount of damage to you. Dark Souls 2 obviously went the latter route, and that's not as rewarding, right?
Right.
Despite that, I still suggest that you or anyone play it to form their own opinion on it. I know a lot of people who actually believe Dark Souls 2 is the best and is their favorite, and I respect that opinion even if it's the wrong one.
All right.
But finally getting around to Dark Souls 3, this one, despite not being, I would say, is my favorite, I have dumped the most hours into. My main character has damn near 400 hours on it, and my other profile now has a little under 50 hours. So yeah, I have somewhere around 450 hours combined in Dark Souls 3. And it is the most graphically pleasing, of course, and it is the most functionally slick. All of the movements and the hitboxes are placed much, much more meticulously. You have a much more broad area of customization options, more spells, different types of spells. Armors have different effects now, and although there are a few flubs, like there's maybe one or two bosses in Dark Souls 3 that are a little disappointing, the rest of it is honestly a cinematic masterpiece, especially when in context that it's a big love letter to Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1. It's a big throwback to the originals, mixed with having the mechanics and the graphical support that a PS4 can put on a game, you know?
Nice. Nice.
So to go down the list, for me at least, it would be Dark Souls 1 is is the best. Dark Souls 3 is just right behind it. And I would say confidently, I regret spending $60 on Dark Souls 2.
All right.
But yeah, it is as challenging as the reputation holds it to. But I think it is a little overblown. I don't think I'm just that damn good at games. It really is just keep practicing at it and you'll get it.
Right.
I like to think it's original. It doesn't feel cheap. It feels like Ghosts and Goblins for the old fucking for the old consoles. It doesn't feel cheap. It just feels like it's hard in all the best ways, and it's going to make you better at it.
Awesome.
And
Not many games
I could say confidently, exactly, especially at this day and age, right? But I have found one of my new favorite series within the Dark Souls games. I recommend everyone try it. It's fun as shit, especially in a group setting. I play it with my friends all the time. There's multiplayer, and we do raids together. That shit's great. So there's my little 2 cents on the entire retrospective of DS 1-2 entry.
Alpha
And
step.
I'll be hitting you with Bloodborne. Yes, sir. I'll be hitting you with Bloodborne either next week or the week after.
For sure. All right, man. So, okay. So, 2 curveballs I'm going to be throwing at you here. Okay, first and foremost.
Give me.
Recently and in between episodes, and I had a chance to watch Kung Fu Hustle. Or rewatch Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh, yes.
And let me just say, once again, I can't say it enough. That is possibly one of the most underrated Kung Fu movies, like, in recent memory. Like, you know, in general. Like, I don't think it gets nearly enough credit for the masterpiece that it truly was. From storytelling to the fight scenes. The fight scene with the the guys with the nails, and they had the cello.
Yeah, they have the big cello that they have to play on each of their knees.
Yeah, and they had and they put it on their lap, and they would vroom vroom, and they would shoot the swords and knives and stuff like that.
And then it would create ghosts later
Right.
on. Yeah, that fight scene was really fucking dope.
That fight is hella clean. Between the shop owner, the dude that looks like Tony Jaa, but I don't think it's Tony Jaa. But the Muay Thai guy, and then the other guy. Man, that fight scene was so amazing. But what really got me was the moment when the landlord comes out and she does the lion's roar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those guys are just like, the lion's roar? I didn't even know that existed. And she gets in that. Yeah, she gets in that car with that dude.
Yeah, man.
But
especially. Oh wait, sorry. Go ahead.
But no. And then they show like the guy, the Axe gang leader, is in the car. And he's like, and the guy's like, drive, and all of a sudden they flash back as she's sitting in between them. They flash forward, and then the husband's sitting next to him like, no, and then they flash back. She's sitting in between them like, what's up, y'all? Yeah, y'all ain't going nowhere. He's like, you leave us the hell alone, or else I'm gonna kill you. He's like, okay. Oh man, that is just such a great scene. It's almost as good as the final scene. Those are two of my favorite scenes. It's that scene, and then the final scene when he's fighting the one killer. Oh God, I can't remember his name right now. It's been like a week or two since I've seen the movie. But he does the Buddha palm, and it like blows out the entire building next to the dude's head, and the dude's just like, yeah.
Just falls to his knees.
Yeah, just falls to his knees. I'm like, oh my God. Man. Like I said, and I watched the subbed version, not the dubbed version.
Never watched the dub version. Only watched the sub.
Only watched the sub. See, anime man after my
Only
own
watched
heart
the
here.
Yeah, buddy. Only sub watcher here, baby. That's not happening.
But yeah, Kung Fu Hustle, and then let me come out with this real quick. I am a pretty decent fan of musicals. Some of my favorite musicals are like Rocky Horror Picture Show, Les Mis,
We
Doctor.
transsexual.
Yes, yes. We'll say Doctor Horrible Sing Along Blog. Like those are some of my favorite musicals. Okay, I discovered one more the other day. My daughter, my young, lovely daughter, has been insisting for weeks since it was released on Disney Plus to watch Hamilton. Never really been interested in Hamilton. I've known it exists for a few years, but never really was interested in seeing it. But my daughter was like, "Daddy, we gotta watch this." Like I've been listening, I've been watching YouTube, I've been seeing videos, and I've been listening to the music, and it's awesome. All right, bet. My daughter says it's awesome. I'm gonna give it a shot. She was right.
That Maddie stamp of approval.
Oh yeah, got Maddie's stamp of approval, and she was dead right. That stage play, I would love to go see that live. I would love to go see it live, and it blew me away on Disney. Like it's basically a musical set to modern day music, but it's all set in the 1800s during the time of like Alexander Hamilton, 1700s, sorry, in the time of Alexander Hamilton and George Washington, etc. It also stars, I don't know if you know who Daveed Diggs is, but he's pretty funny. But yeah,
I do not.
overall, what's up?
Are they in something like?
He's in the show. If
like
you watch the show Snowpiercer, that's been on TNT the past few weeks, like the past month or two, like he's in that. But I can't think of anything else.
Okay, I've seen a lot of the promotion for that.
So,
Shit,
but yeah, but overall, it's a great. Just I would suggest watching it if you have Disney Plus. It's free. I would suggest watching it. It's almost 3 hours, but it's nonstop music, and so it keeps you interested through the whole thing. My favorite part about it, I was describing this to one of my friends the other day. One of my favorite parts about the Hamilton musical is that they do the debates, the congressional debates, about certain things, that certain laws and stuff like that Alexander Hamilton pitched.
Huh?
What's that? Well, yeah. So, like, they go over a bunch of stuff that Alexander Hamilton actually did, but the congressional debates that Hamilton had against like Thomas Jefferson, etc., and Alan Burr, who was another big part of the musical, his particular character. He's an actual person, but his character was a huge story. But when they did the congressional debates, they did it like a rap battle, and George Washington was the MC.
That's so fucking cool.
Bro, it's so fucking dope. Like you gotta go see it. Like I said, if you have access to Disney Plus, if you don't particularly, Alpha, and you want to see it, I'll lend you my my Disney Plus code and you can watch it. My Disney Plus info and you can watch it. But like, yeah, man, it's worth it. It's worth watching. If you have a good 3 hours to spare and you want to watch something interesting that really that will really catch your imagination, Hamilton's something to watch.
Oh yeah, man, I'm with that. Going back real quick, no, yeah, dude, fucking Kung Fu Hustle though. No, yeah, that's the shit.
Oh
Like
yeah, it is.
I love the fact like that like the Axe Gang is unanimously just the bad guys and a whole load of shit. It's like one of my favorite fucking things. And like the scene where he hits him over their head with the fucking wooden board and it just breaks over his head. So he pushes his head like 3 feet into the ground.
Yeah.
And the only thing that happens after like lightly taps him on the head with that little fucking shard of wood that's left of it. And he got a little meekly and then a little like bonk noise.
No, that was the greatest one because he sits there and he bonks him on top of the head like trying to help out. He's trying to help out the two masters. He's like, bam! And dude's like, why'd you hit me? Like, huh? And he, bow, 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 crushes his face, and he just takes that little piece. Pink. That's so great. Stephen Chow put so many great moments in that movie. Just pink.
Oh, he does. It's all in his fucking expressions, bro. All in his expressions.
It is.
It's fucking great. But no, man, I'm big on musicals. I agree. I'm a real big musical guy, and I am not afraid to say that. Like I have seen Little Shop of Horrors front and back extended 3 in a million half times, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show too. Like, So I've been considering watching Hamilton for a while, but I haven't gotten around to it. But now that you say it, and now that it's recommended by Maddie, you know what? I got you. I'll check that out. I got you.
Hand to God, my daughter, who has babysat through 4 movies in the 12 years that I've known her, sat through pretty much all of Hamilton without moving except for during the intermission. So it entranced her. Yeah. All right. So let's take a break, give my voice a rest real quick, and then we'll come back and talk some wrestling.
Fuck yeah, man. Wrestling.
Don't forget you listen to the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network. We got plenty of great shows going on here. Later on tonight, we got MVT. West Coast Bias was earlier today. We also have Brick House, Inspire Radio, Mr. Deacon's Experience, Dirty Talk 101, Kings and Queens of Porn, Lovely Radio, and K-Double's 5th Year Music Class this upcoming week. So y'all be sure to tune in and keep tuning in because you're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you may find your favorite podcasts.
Hey listener, Dutch here from Voice from the Underground, the podcast. My co-host and I want to invite you to check out our little corner of the podcast verse. At Voice from the Underground, we talk about all the crazy happening around us and try to make a little bit of sense out of the nonsense with little to no results. If the idea of hearing 3 semi-intelligent, outspoken nerds talk about politics, social issues, current events, sports, movies, pretty much anything that we decide to talk about because, well, it's our show, appeals to you, grab your shovel and come on down to the underground, and then consult a qualified psychotherapist. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, just not where you buy your weed.
Voice from the Underground.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the Ghosts of the Stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
All right. Hey, what was up, boss? You gonna say something?
I was gonna say we should have you seen anything on Slammiversary as well?
No, I have not. But you can go ahead and catch us up on that before we dive into this horror show that was Extreme Rules this year.
Sweet. I'm only saying it because there's so much happened, but man, I don't know if you heard, but at Slammiversary, I believe it either opened or second match through the Motor City Machine Guns returned.
Nice. I haven't seen the Motor City Machine Guns in too damn long.
Yeah, they returned and they actually just got a hold of the tag team championships the other day too. But Eric Young returned. Keith Slater ended up debuting on the show to do a little promo, and he linked back up with Rhino.
Nice.
EC3 had a segment at the end showing that he was coming back. The Good Brothers came in and helped Eddie Edwards, I believe.
Nice.
And Tommy Dreamer, the man, the myth, the legend, had a fucking amazing match with Moose. And he wore a shirt that said, he had a shirt that whole time that said Moose suck eggs, as a reference to Terry Funk and Dusty Rhodes' feud, when Terry Funk had the shirt that said Dusty sucks eggs way back when.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was real fucking cool. But a lot of the ye old Impact alumni returned, and then Kurt Hawkins is also going back there for sure now. So it's crazy. Fucking Impact just came upon the motherload of talent.
You know what it shows me? As much as the AEW people want to believe it, not everybody's flocking to go to AEW, no matter how much money Tony Khan has. No offense to AEW, but literally AEW should have been able to sign at least 60% of the people that came out. Good Brothers, there's several other people. I saw somebody sitting there talking about, is Kairi Sane coming to AEW? No, idiot. Actually, if you read the story about why Kairi Sane is leaving WWE,
she's going fucking home.
She's going back to Japan because she wants to wrestle for New Japan and she wants to be near her husband. So no, she's not going to wrestle for New Japan and then have to fly back to the States to come wrestle for AEW every week. No. If she wanted to do that, she'd just stay with WWE.
Exactly.
But yeah, no. So some.
Oh.
But it looks like Impact's roster just got a lot stronger, despite losing Tessa Blanchard and their champion. You know, they've gotten a lot stronger.
Yeah, we talked about it before. The Impact is the show that never fucking dies. And it's doing that thing again where it's just resurging again. I'm curious just to see what happens in them because the roster is looking fucking stacked, and I'm willing to watch any product that the Good Brothers are on at this point.
Yep. No, I don't understand why like everybody thinks that everybody that left WWE or is released for WWE is because of bad. Sometimes it's just financial reasons. WWE don't have the money to pay them, don't want to pay them, so they release them. And they let them go work someplace else. Like, it's not always these people are unhappy because WWE didn't use them. No, sometimes they're just like, all right, y'all ain't got nothing for me creatively, like, let me go then. Which makes sense. You know what I'm saying? If I went into work every day, actually, I can't say that. If I went into work every day for a month and they were like, we ain't got nothing for you, Kendrick, but we're paying you for 8 hours. Hey, all right, fuck yeah, I'm going home. Go home, have a beer, get paid for 8 hours. But you know, in the wrestling business, if you walk up and they say they ain't got nothing for you, you're missing out on extra money that you could be getting from being in ring and bonuses and shit like that. So at the end of the day, I understand where people are coming from when they say, you know what, if you're not going to use me, then release me. It's not because WWE's dumb. Like, I hate when people say that. They're like, oh, WWE's just dumb, dude. They don't know how to use this dude. Nah, creative just didn't have nothing for him. So he can go someplace else. Yeah. Like WWE's not the type of creative that just takes anybody and just goes, you know what, we're just going to throw you out there. Just cuz. No, if they don't have something, the storyline that they want to build for you or something like that, they just don't use you. And that makes sense to me from a business standpoint. If you ain't got no use for somebody, ain't no reason to have them out there in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Eric Young, he went straight away and talked about how displeased he was with the system, which is completely okay.
Right.
And on the other hand, I always like to think about Jack Swagger. Once he left, everyone was like, you know, what do you have to say? And he was like, simply put, I wasn't making enough money to feed my family, so I went somewhere else. Yeah. And it was just simple as that.
Well, and the whole thing about it, even with Eric Young. Eric, let's be real. Yeah, okay, you didn't like particularly what they did with your character. They didn't necessarily listen to what you were saying. But also at the same time, Sanity, as much as I love Sanity, Sanity just didn't get over well on the main roster. It's not as well as they did in NXT. And that's what some people don't understand. Yeah. Like, some acts are made... I think Finn Balor realized that. Not because Finn Balor is a bad wrestler. I think Finn Balor just realized he was more suited for the NXT environment. And maybe one day he'll go back to the main roster and win the championships he should have always won and give us some of the matches that we've always wanted. But for right now, he's better off, and it allows him more life flexibility to work with NXT and help these young guys come up. You know, and for some people that makes sense. You know, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for creative differences, if it wasn't for lack of wanting to allow Matt Hardy to control his own creative direction, Matt Hardy would probably be in NXT right now. Period. If Vince had just said, yeah, you can do the broken gimmick, Matt Hardy be in NXT right now. So.
Yeah. We've talked about it before, and I wholeheartedly believe that NXT at this point should just be the third brand.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be these guys moving up to there. I believe straight up, like we've talked about, some people are just more suited for the NXT crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get into it a little bit more. I absolutely fucking hate the fact that Ciampa was jobbed out to Karrion Kross on a pay-per-view. That was one of the biggest, most egregious mistakes in all of NXT history, and I say that with 100% fucking confidence. That was a mistake, and I know that was set up either to put over Karrion Kross or to give him a send-off to the main roster, or both. Neither are good. But it comes down to the fact that Ciampa on the main roster would be a bad idea. And we saw that when he was actually temporarily brought up on the main roster a year ago, remember?
Yep. I don't think he's necessarily main roster, not necessarily like skill-wise. This is what people don't understand. It's not, especially on the main roster, it's not just about what can you do in the ring. It's not.
Yeah.
At a place like WWE, it's about more than just what can you do in the ring. It's about how can you connect with the crowd. Can you make a Make-A-Wish kid want you to be the one that comes to their hospital room? You know, can your name pop up on that list? You know, and that's basically what it boils down to. And so
exactly.
And so I look at it and I agree 100% that it was bad that they jobbed him out, but also big picture, what are they going to do with that? Is Ciampa going to make this amazing comeback where all of a sudden he comes all the way back and captures gold? Or is this just going to be where Ciampa just kind of disappears and all of a sudden next thing you know, we're hearing about Tommaso Ciampa being released? You know, that's what my major question is. It's not about what's happened to him right now. It's about where's WWE going to go with this? Are they going to try to strike while the iron's hot and turn this into money? Or are they just going to let it sit off to the side and leave him unhappy and eventually end up releasing him?
Especially considering that, from what I've heard, it's just the fact that he's not on TV right now because creative has nothing for him, which is another egregious fucking mistake because it's Ciampa. Yeah. I feel like if you look at NXT and you want to compare anyone to anyone, Gargano is your Cena and Ciampa is your Orton.
I agree 100%, but I think that's exactly what Triple H is trying to avoid. And I think that's why you're not seeing as much of Gargano right now. And I don't think it's because he doesn't want to push Gargano. I think it's just for the better part of the past 2 years, sans about a 9-month period of time where Gargano was out with that neck injury, or almost a year of time.
Yeah.
For the better part of the past year and a half, 2.5 years, Gargano's been in the main event picture of NXT. You know, and sometimes it just comes a time when it's just somebody else's time. And you just kind of got to lay low and bide your time and take what they give you until they can figure something out for you and get you back into that main groove again. Because he's definitely still as hot and over as he's ever been.
Oh, of course.
You know, but shit, Cena hasn't been seen in damn near a year. And Cena could still step back out and would still get the 50-50 Cena sucks, you know,
we hate Cena.
Cena, you know.
I mean, we love Cena. We hate Cena.
Yeah,
duality. You know.
You know, and Gargano kind of has the same thing. You know, not Gargano, but Ciampa kind of has the same thing. So I think that Ciampa could make a comeback. He just has to bide his time.
Mm-hmm. It's whatever the plans are for Karrion Kross and whatever the plans are for Ciampa. Don't you think that, like, as a whole, this all would have been better if we saw. Remember, that was the main event too. That match was the main event. That was the end of the show.
Right.
Wouldn't it have been better if we got the Takeover style 20 minute fucking balls to the wall fucking slobber knocker between those two men that we both know they can do, because we've seen Ciampa do it time and time again.
Especially
and I've watched Cross do it
Black.
in Impact. Exactly, especially with Aleister Black. And I've seen Cross go absolutely fucking bonkers both in Impact and on Josh Barnett's Bloodsport,
Okay.
which is fucking great. But I've seen him tear it up there in the same way. So I know that both of these men are capable of this. So why was the match just... If that was it, and that was the one and done, then I'm going to be really disappointed, because we both know that there was a good match there. Or
I
at
don't
least
think it's...
so.
I think sometime in the near... I think the long game is that sometime in the near future, I think Keith Lee's white hot and skyrocketing to the main roster, especially being a big guy. And so I think he'll have his run, but I think that Cross will be who he drops it to. And I think since Ciampa is basically NXT for life, both Ciampa and Gargano had their opportunity in their white hot moment to go to the main roster, and both were like, no thank you. So I think what will happen is that because Ciampa's basically NXT for life, you can let Ciampa lay low. And then once Cross effectively captures the belt, then Ciampa shows up for his revenge and to come back and get Goldie.
All right, I'm feeling that.
I can see it going that way. I'm not saying it for sure is going to go that way, but I can see it going that way. I do like the feud.
I can see that too. Yeah.
On NXT of Mia Yim and Isaiah Swerve Scott taking on Gargano and Candice LeRae. I do like that. Oh, right,
feud. Yeah.
I don't know if that was just for 1 week or if that's ongoing.
I'm not sure. Did you see how that started?
No. All I knew is 1 week.
It was actually pretty cool.
Okay.
Oh shit! I didn't get to say this because we didn't get to talk about it because we were on hiatus during that time. The Great American Bash of NXT. Were you able to catch that?
Yes, I watched both nights.
Wonderful. Thatcher versus Lorcan, though.
Oh,
that match was a fucking banger.
That match was a fucking mat lesson. Anybody who is a wrestling potential wrestling student needs to straight up watch that match. Those two boys go at it.
Yeah, damn right. And Thatcher actually did it again this week too. He had a match with I forget his name, but he was one of the new signees, and he was big on Greco-Roman throw wrestling. And they just mat wrestled circles around each other, and it was really good. I recommend checking, if any of the matches this week, definitely that one.
Nice, right on. All right, so I'll have to check that out. Like I said, after we get off the air, we're recording on Saturday, guys, for the Sunday show. After we get off air, I probably am going to go back and watch NXT later on tonight. I have a little time. Or tomorrow, but NXT and AEW, but I just haven't had a chance to watch them before we did the show. But yeah, and the Great American Bash was white hot, and especially like we talked about last episode with Keith Lee winning both the NXT and I didn't see the reason why. Maybe you can tell us. I saw that Keith Lee relinquished the North American Championship.
I've been looking around for that too. I've seen somewhere that he vacated it, but I haven't been able to find why. I've been looking around, but I still can't catch it. I was actually hoping that you had got it.
Hold on. I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
Says,
I think while you look for that real quick, I think Damian Priest is really starting to catch his stride right now too.
Yeah, I like him as well. Full disclosure on WWE.
It's really cool.
On WWE 2K20, I created the Dark Family stable, and it's me, Damian Priest, Cameron Grimes, Keith Lee, and the Demon Finn Balor.
Oh, that's fucking nice.
So
I like that.
Oh yeah, I'm currently in a feud with Adam Cole for the NXT heavyweight championship.
Fucking nice, man. I like that shit.
All right, so Keith Lee relinquishes it, and they're going to have a ladder match at NXT TakeOver 30 to determine a new whatchamacallit. He said he's going to focus on just the NXT belt. Well, he was 2 belts Keith for a little bit, but that's all over now.
What the hell? That's no fun. I was feeling 2 belt Keith.
I was too. I think it's. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think that's cool though. I always love me a multi-man ladder match for the title. I'm with that. I'm not too mad, I guess.
Well, I think they pulled the trigger on having him relinquish it because, like I said, he's not going to hold the NXT title for that long before he makes his way up to the main roster. I think they pretty much have realized that Keith Lee is ready. You know, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when Keith Lee gets promoted to the main roster.
Yeah, I think they're gonna protect him real good. I think out of nowhere, the surprise for me was that they're being this good with Matt Riddle. So I think if they can be good with Riddle, I think there's hope for Lee being really well protected on the main roster.
Oh yeah, yeah. Lee Riddle's starting a feud with Baron Corbin on Smack Diggity Down.
The King's Ransom idea wasn't even stupid. Like I'm actually with that.
Yeah, and that kick that Drew Gulak took to the dome, or Tony Nese was it, took to the dome yesterday was wow, dude. That was just whoo, buddy. But Matt Riddle, I'm liking him on the main roster.
I don't know. Go ahead, sir.
I was gonna say I like the way that they've handled him since he's got to the main roster. I like the fact that they instantaneously gave him a good feud to lose against AJ Styles. You know, of course, nobody's believing that Matt Riddle's going over AJ Styles that quick for the Intercontinental belt, but they gave us some great matches. You know, with a lot of close calls and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. He lost the match, but that's not to say he didn't go over.
Exactly. Yeah. And now, jumping over to Raw, just jumping subjects, it looks like we've got a new stable now.
Mm-hmm. Shelton Benjamin.
Yep. The Hurt Business. Like I said, it's not necessarily the direction I'd go, but it looks like what they're putting together is an all-veteran crew. So that means, unfortunately, we won't get the Street Profits in the stable. So, let's see. Are they going to keep it at 3, or do you think they're going to grow it to 4 or 5?
Oh, I can see this getting bigger. I don't think it's just going to be a 3-man thing. I think there's at very least going to be 4.
Okay.
Probably like 5 or 6 at most. But I like the idea that we're not going to see just a straight hash off of the Nation of Domination. That maybe we're going to see something like a mix of the Nation of Domination and the Main Event Mafia, in the way that the Main Event Mafia were all formed of like 20-plus year veterans of this business.
Right.
So if it's a mix of that, then I quite like that. I think I like that a little bit more, maybe, depending on how this goes.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, it all depends on how things play out. So far, I like it. Like I said, I like the choices that they've made so far. Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, MVP. I still think in order to make this truly successful, you got to get MVP out the ring. Like, I think MVP...
You think so?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like watching him wrestle. And the man still got it. But he shouldn't be... He should be leading the stable. He shouldn't be actively wrestling. Like, and I think if they are going to add more people to it, I think as they add more people to it, MVP should be spending less and less time in the ring. Now, if you still want to give him the United States Championship and just have him kind of do like Dean Ambrose did and hold on to it for like a year and a half and only defend it like
like twice,
four times, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, like you can go that route, but I think that diminishes the U.S. Championship. You know that the title really needs to be in circulation. But I just think I think MVP works better as a mouthpiece and as a stable manager than he does as an in-ring competitor, as being an actual working part of the stable.
I'm too much of an MVP mark to look anyone in the eyes and say, like, yeah, of course I want him out of that ring, because I fucking love watching that dude wrestle. He's one of my favorites and always will be.
No, okay.
But you are right in the way that he is an unbelievably ironclad fucking worker with a mic in his hands. And he's shown time and time again that he has the chops to manage someone as much as he does in the ring. But especially with his age, and especially with Benjamin, him behind Benjamin as his mouthpiece, while Benjamin is the catch wrestling god that he is, that's not a bad idea, though. You are right there.
Okay. Think about it like this. Think about it like Ric Flair in his, late 50s, early 60s. Where Flair would come out as the manager.
Like Evolution.
Right. And sometimes Flair would get into a match. Sometimes he'd be in a tag team match here or there. But he was really more just the mouthpiece and the showman for the group than he really was the workhorse in the ring. That's what I mean for MVP. Let him get in the ring every now and then, but don't make him a central point in ring for the stable. Let the other people that he brings into the stable really shine. And unless, only way I can see it working any other way is if they end up bringing in Farouk, which I've heard rumors that they might be. If they end up bringing in Farouk as the mouthpiece / manager, then you can put MVP more in the ring weekly. But if you're not gonna put somebody like an older veteran in there, then MVP's got to be that older veteran. Even though he's not really that much older than Bobby Lashley. But Bobby Lashley can't talk for shit.
Yeah. Don't give Lashley the mic. Nobody give Lashley the mic ever again. I love Lashley to death as a competitor, but if I have to hear one more thing about his sisters, I'm going to go fucking ballistic.
Oh, and let me put in my vote right now. WWE, I like the whole 2-woman power trip thing you have going on with Bayley and Sasha Banks. Please don't take it away from me by having Sasha drop the Raw belt back to Asuka. Let that feud go on for a little bit longer.
I'm gonna be real with you. That whole thing was ruined for me with that fucking finish at Extreme Rules.
But what if they give you a clean finish on Monday? What if Sasha beats her clean on Monday?
Okay. You know what? I'll take that. That I'll take. You know what? Yeah, you're right. I'll take that. Because I know damn well there was a good match between them two individually.
Yeah.
So you know what? If Sasha beats her clean, I'll take that right there. That I'd like. I want a 2-man power trip like Steve Austin and Triple H where they just tear through people. I don't want to see that slimy, cowardly heel sort of thing that WWE likes to do. No, I want to see some fucking force and aggression there.
I want you to show me what these women can do in ring. I want you to give me a 4-star match, as many matches as possible with whoever they're feuding with. I want you to show me why people appreciate women's wrestling. And so at the end of the day, if there's any two female wrestlers that can deliver on that match in and match out, it's Bayley and Sasha Banks. And if there's any 2 women that can deliver on that in a feud, it's Sasha Banks and Asuka. And with no Charlotte Flair for the next 4 to 6 months, or 4 to 6 weeks or whatever, at least for the next couple months, now's the time for these 2 to shine. And you're
right though.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, they're definitely 2 of the people that fucking revolutionized it. I'm not the biggest Sasha Banks fan, but I can. She can have a real good match when she busts her ass to do it.
Yeah,
and
she puts it
I think a lot of potential in having them to just tear through people, not in a cowardly heel sort of way, but out fucking wrestling them.
Yep, just actually getting it done. And they've built up enough cred that it's believable, with those 2. And so
exactly.
At the end of the day, I think it would revolutionize the women's division and basically have them taking on the best of the best from NXT, SmackDown, and Raw, kind of like what they've been doing with Charlotte Flair over the past few months. So, but
you're right. Let's talk about Dolph versus Drew. I want to talk about that.
I like the feud. I definitely like the feud. I think Dolph Ziggler is at his best when he's a heel. Period. I don't really like face Dolph. Never have, never will. But I think Dolph Ziggler works best as a heel. I think that their match at Extreme Rules was a little over the top for me. Because
You think so?
It was over the top, not in the sense of the action involved in the match. I liked the match. It was basically I'm wrestling a no disqualification, no count out, no nothing match for me. But you're wrestling a normal wrestling match. All right, Dolph, come on, man. You could have come up with something better than that. This is Extreme Rules horror show, and that's the best you can come up with. Is I can do whatever the fuck I want, and I don't get disqualified, and you can't do shit. Yeah.
It felt a little too WCW for me,
Exactly. And
felt a little Vince Russo.
And so at the end of the day, was I impressed with the actual in-ring competition of the match? Oh, yeah. I normally am satisfied a lot with the in-ring competition in WWE matches. But the results of the match, the way things went down, I was just like, match got like a B+ for me. Primarily because of the in-ring content.
You can't dispute that Claymore at the end, though.
Yeah, that was a hell of a Claymore. Dolph ate that motherfucker for dinner. Yeah. Dolph ate that like it was a hamburger for dinner, boss. Just every bit of it. So
I fucking tasted soul down to his fucking ribs, bro. He ate that shit. Dolph selling is still one of the best fucking things. I would put that kick right under the way he sells Kofi Kingston's monkey flips.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Kofi, Kofi is out. Well, kayfabe. I don't know if he's for real out, but right now he's kayfabe out for 6 weeks or so.
Oh no, he is out for real.
Is real. So there's only one remaining member of the New Day. Do you think Big E gets a push?
And he gave him the fucking blessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gave him that blessing to go after some singles gold, and you know what, bro? I still like to think back to, like, if there was a time where I really, really miss Big E as an individual, it was definitely either one in his NXT run when he was feuding with Bo Dallas and he brought back the 5 count, or when he got the IC title as a singles badass. And if we can see that age of E again, that badass bodybuilder sort of thing again, one more time in an IC title feud.
I don't think we ever stopped seeing that. I don't think we ever stopped seeing that Big E. I just think we started seeing more personality to what we were seeing. You feel?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever stopped seeing that Big E. But I think he just added more to it. He added a little bit more flair to it. And I think he can go back to being that Mr. Serious. I think if he wants to drop the bright blue, singlet and everything like that, he can go back to being Mr. Serious and just kick ass and be in the powerhouse that he was dating back to the NXT days. I would love to see him and Roman going at it one-on-one.
Oh, yes. Or Ian fucking Keith Lee.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to all the matchups Keith Lee can have.
Oh,
but going back to E, though, I don't want to see like the stalwart like character of that, but that level of work rate and that level of chances given in just one-on-one long matches and given the chance to work like that. I think he's proven that he's top level material, and I hope they give him the chance to show that kind of work rate again.
I hope so as well. I truly do. All right, so after that, I want to say, all right, so
Braun and Bray.
Yeah, let's talk some Braun and Bray, and then I want you to wrap us up with some AEW talk from what you know. Because like I said, I haven't had a chance to watch it in a couple weeks, and we're almost hit our limit. But Braun and Bray, I liked it. I liked the Swamp match. I liked the cinematic version of it. I like the fact that they used the picture of the image of Alexa Bliss for Sister Abigail. I think with her connections with Nikki Cross, I think that would be a great storyline to run with her. That she has split personalities, and one's personality is Alexa Bliss and the other one is Sister Abigail. But we'll see. I was begging for Nikki Cross to be revealed as Sister Abigail when she first hit the main roster,
Oh, right.
but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good match. Every time that this is the maybe fourth or fifth time we've had one of these matches now, and I went into this thinking like, if this is going to be, if there was going to be this style of match that was going to fall off, I was expecting it to be this one, but it really wasn't bad. I expected them to reference, or at least even slightly allude to the Lake of Reincarnation.
Yeah.
Which is how, if you remember, how Bray Wyatt ended up becoming the Fiend. And a lot of people are messing this up, I think, and I think they're getting it wrong. Alexa Bliss isn't, like, she isn't revealed to have been Sister Abigail this whole time.
Right.
The Swamp is comparable to that of, like, Pennywise from It.
Right.
It morphs, and it's your own personal hell.
Right.
And so you're going to see what you want to see or what you don't want to see.
Right.
And so that's why Braun saw what he fears, and that was himself and his past. And really, the only prominent female in the continuity of Braun's character is guess fucking who? Alexa Bliss. So that's who he saw. Sister Abigail isn't like a corporeal identity of a character. It's an idea.
Right.
Sister Abigail represents something. Yeah. I just want to clear that
up. Yeah, Sister Abigail is just like you said; it's an idea, and so for me, it was nice to see that idea come to life as Miss Alexa Bliss. It was a beautiful representation. Let me say. So,
all right, let's dig into some AEW.
Yeah, go ahead and dig into some AEW. Let us know what's been going on. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to watch it for the past 2 weeks. So
all right, sweet. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
In no particular order here, just going from the top. Eddie fucking Kingston debuted in AEW. He at least was really cool. He's a big veteran. I personally saw him in Impact and Evolve. That's where I was mostly exposed to him. And he comes out and just immediately starts railing and shooting on Cody Rhodes, talking about how, you were born into this business versus I had to scratch and claw for this. And I'm a grown-ass man, and I'm going to go in there and beat your ass like a grown-ass man in Eddie Kingston's style of promo, which is always badass. So I adored that, although he did lose in that hardcore match. Cody ended up powerbombed onto a bed of nails, I believe, which was really dope. We ended up seeing MJF mock Jungle Boy with Griff Garrison, a little like mock Jungle Boy jobber, which was an okay segment at best, but MJF is still kind of funny. The Young Bucks went against Butcher and Blade in a match that basically fucked up both teams, like legitimately pretty badly. Both of the Bucks ended up physically torn up pretty badly from what I've heard. And I believe Butcher ended up with a small injury too. But it was a Bucks tag match. I enjoyed it for what it was worth. Yeah, as much as I do any other Bucks tag match, We ended up seeing further with the Hangman Page and the Dark Order storyline, with them trying to convince him to get in, and Brody Lee being Brody Lee. And then we finished off with the Inner Circle versus Jurassic Express, and it all came down to the end with a returning Sammy Guevara ripping off the mask and returning from his, what would you call that again? His sensitivity training. And somewhere in the middle of that, Darby Allin was attacked by Brian Cage. I forget his name, but it's the other guy Taz has now recruited into his little fold. And he blasted Darby Allin into fucking...
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, no, it wasn't Sean Spears. Yeah, you
I'm
know
not
what I'm
sure.
talking about.
Yeah, I know you're
That
talking
new guy he's inducted into his little fold. He just blasted Darby Allin from the back and actually gave him a concussion. It's looking like he might have re-injured him already. But Darby Allin and Cage just wail on. Brian Cage and the other guy that was brought into that little fold with Taz start wailing on Allin, and my father, John Moxley comes in with the save and saves a concussed now Darby Allin somewhere in the middle of that. It was a standard AEW show. I liked it.
Ricky Starks.
Pretty fucking good. Ricky Starks. There you go.
Yeah, that's his
It
name.
was, I know it was Stark somewhere in there.
Oh, man. All right, sorry about that.
That is all.
Didn't mean to disappear on you there. I had to take care of some stuff, but that's our AEW block. So.
Okay. Good. Yes, sir. All right.
I'll catch up on that probably within the next, just like I'll catch up on Stargirl and all that before we record the next episode for next week. So sorry about my shortness, guys. There, normally I keep up on all of it, but it's been a busy couple of weeks. So
It has.
I think that is pretty much everything on our docket, unless there's anything else that you wanted to add. So you got your wrestler of the week?
You know what? Yeah, I do.
All right.
I just want to say I've taken a small break from this because I'm gonna be very honest. As we know, there was a lot of things going on in wrestling over the past 2 months or so, especially with the Speak Out movement and a lot of accusations, true or not, being thrown around. And regardless of what is going on with those cases, a lot of the people that were accused were people that I personally brought on here for Wrestler of the Week. So I just want to reiterate that in no way, shape, or form do those wrestlers represent the viewpoints and or opinions of the Cheap Pop Podcast and or Alpha.
Amen to that. Because I endorse you in ring don't mean I endorse everything you do.
Exactly. Separate art from the artist, right?
Exactly. Got to be able to compartmentalize.
But But in light of such recent events, I decided that if there was one wrestler that I felt like talking about in these past 2 weeks, I think it was Shotzi Blackheart. I think in an industry like this, I'm so used to seeing a lot of women's wrestlers go down the same road in terms of gimmick, and that isn't a take on women's wrestling. It's just something that I've been stuck with growing up with in this generation of wrestling. And Shotzi Blackheart is a fresh new coat of paint for it. Her like tank girl-esque gimmick is something that's just fucking fun. And seeing her go from Evolve to there, Kevin having seen her from earlier than that point, I believe, too, as well, right?
Oh, yeah, big time
seeing her
wrestling.
go from that to where she...
APW, oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Shotzi Blackheart.
Oh, right?
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, and it's... I only say this because not only is she such a good character, but she has such a fast-paced, sleek, and solid wrestling style. It's very seamless, especially to how clunky some women's wrestling can be.
Yeah.
And so Shotzi Blackheart, for me, in more ways than one, is a shot of fresh, is the piece of fresh air in the women's division, especially when put in the retrospect of the NXT versus AEW lineup of rosters.
Yep.
So, of course, my wrestler of the week, back again once again, is Shotzi motherfucking Blackheart.
Shotzi! Oh, yeah. My girl. All right, y'all. So that'll do it for us for this week. We should be back again next week to talk a little AEW, WWE, Impact, and some pop culture for you. So keep tuning into the Cheap Pop Podcast. Alpha, any last words for him?
Oh, yes. Yes, sir. You know how it goes. Oh, my people, please be safe. I love you. Wear your fucking mask.